So during this assembly, I'm going to talk to you about the arrangements to be in place for your summer exams in 2022. I always like to start with a quote, and this is the quote I use for the exams. I think it's something that we can all aspire to during our preparations and our work in the months that lie ahead. And it's a quote from John Wooden. He was the most successful basketball coach in America and also an English teacher. And he said that success comes from knowing that you did your best to become the best you're capable of becoming. And I think by that definition, we are all capable of being successful because we're all capable of giving our best. So the assembly that we're going to go through is an opportunity to highlight a couple of key things for you. And we're going to start off here, first of all, with your exam timetable. Now, you'll all be given a copy of this today. And as you can see, there are a couple of key bits of information that we need to highlight on this timetable. So first of all, you have the dates over here of your exams. Then you have the start time. This tells you how long your exam is going to be. And in these next rows are the information regarding the exam board and the subject that exam is. So please check, one of the things to check is that you've got all the subjects listed that you expect to take. Second thing to check is some subjects, for example, science here has options around tiers of entry. So here we've got the higher tier for science, and here we've got the foundation paper for French. So check that subjects are listed, check that the right tier is listed for you as well. If you have any problems with any of that information, please initially speak to your classroom teacher, have that conversation with them, and they will hopefully be able to help sort that out. But anything more than that, please talk to Mrs. Gilbert, our exams officer, and she'll be able to help you. So this timetable, once you've got this, please stick it to your fridge, and so everyone can see it, and you know the key dates of the exams that are coming up. Everyone knows which days you have to be ready to do your best in that exam. So what to do now? I've already said that you should go and check your timetable, make sure it's got the subjects on there, make sure the tiers of entry are right. Share it with your family, make sure everyone knows the key dates so that you're in school and able to perform at your best. Start times, so morning exams will start at 9, so you need to be there 10 minutes before that start time. So that means you're arriving at 8:50 in the dining hall area. And afternoon exams, depending on the exam, most of them will start at 1:30. There are a couple that will start at 1 o'clock, so we can fit them into the school day. So again, you need to be there 10 minutes before in order to be ready to start the exam on time. There's a notice board outside Mrs. Gilbert's office on the main corridor, and we publish all the start times and key dates and seating plans, so you can have a look at that just before the exams and make yourself familiar with the expectations. Also, make sure that you've got your equipment that you will need to these exams. So things like a black pen, don't just get one, have a few of those. Calculator, make sure it's the one you are comfortable with using and know how to use. And a pencil case. If you're bringing a pencil case into the exam hall, please make sure it's a clear one. So you've got to be able to see through it to take it into the exam hall. So on the day of exams, a couple of things that we need to be aware of. The school uniform, as always, must be worn for all exams. As you come into the exam hall, there will be seating plans, so have a look at that, see where you're sitting for the exam. Also check locations. Not all the exams will take place in the main hall, and some students will complete their exams in different spaces, different rooms around the school. And start times, again, just making sure you're there on time. Really stress this. Morning exams start at 9, afternoon exams start, majority of them at 1:30, some will start at 1 o'clock. We tend to meet for all exams in the dining hall. If there's anything different there, we will let you know, but that's where we'll meet to get ourselves ready for the exam. So when you come into school, if you've got an exam in the morning, you need to go to your locker, leave bags, belongings in your locker. Any mobile devices as well, such as phones, please leave those in there as well, lock them away securely. And just bring with you the equipment you need to complete the exam. along to the exam hall. So pencil cases, calculators, we've already said, black pens, those kind of things, bring them with you. If you're bringing a water bottle in, please make sure it's got the label removed. We can't have water bottles with labels in the exam hall, so please take those off before coming along. And as you come into the exam hall, once you're inside, please just check any instructions that you need to have a look at. Make sure you know what you're doing. Any kind of exam information, you might see boards around the school asking people to be quiet in certain areas. Please be respectful of those as well, because that could mean students are doing exams in different rooms, and we want those students performing their best. So allowing them to work in quiet is the best way to do that. So during the exam, things to be aware of in the exam hall. We cannot take electronic devices into the exam hall, and these need to be left, as already said, in your locker. And this includes iPods, phones, iPads, smartwatches, any kind of earphone as well must not be taken into the exam hall. That would be a problem. If you have just a regular watch, this can be taken in the exam hall but must be removed from your wrist during the exam and placed at the top of your exam desk, so you can still see it, but it's not on your person. As soon as we come into the exam hall, exam conditions start at that point. So that means there's no form of any kind of communication, no talking at all, and that just allows everyone to get themselves into the right state of mind to perform at their best. Once you sat down at your place, you should notice a little exam card on your desk with your details on to help you, and that also confirms you sat at the correct table. And what you need to do at that point is just check that the front of the paper has, first of all, it's the right paper, it's the right tier for you, and then start to complete those details on the front, which is your candidate name and your candidate number. Then we will go through it together, but you can start to read through the instructions so you understand what the exam is expecting you to do whilst you're working on it. And at any point during the exam, if you require help or assistance, you put your hand up in the exam hall. You must stay in your desk, put your hand up, and invigilator will come to you in order to see how they can help you. Calculator cases, again, same as pencil cases, really. They can't be taken into the exam hall at all. Can be put inside your clear pencil case and taken in, but the case itself must be left outside. And stress again, you will need a black pen, so don't just come to school with one. Have a couple so that if there's a problem, you have a spare one. At the end of the exam, some of our exams this year are going to finish at different times. This means that you might still be working on an exam while some students are leaving, or you might be leaving while some students are still working on their exam. If this is the case, it's really important we leave quietly and move away from the area so we're not disturbing any of the students that are still working on their exam. And the kind of key bit of advice for everybody is if you have finished your exam and there's still time left, then just take your time, go back through the exam, check to make sure you've answered every question that you should have done, check to make sure you've answered them as best you can, there aren't any mistakes in what you've done that you can spot. That's really good practice just to build that little bit of time in at the end to do that. Other things to be aware of around the exams, if you have a problem on the day, so if you miss the bus or your car's got a flat tyre, there's a problem getting in, please contact the school immediately and let us know, and then we can make sure we are supporting you and helping you. If you're ill or you miss an exam, then you must provide a medical certificate to Mrs. Gilbert within a day of missing the exam, and we will then log that with the exam board that's required so that we can complete this process with you during the exams. Updates, if any information needs to be shared with you, we've also got the school website, we've got the AHS exams, the main school Twitter account as well, some high one. So that's all going to be used, so please follow those accounts and keep yourself up to date. And we're also currently producing a revision timetable that will go around the exams, and the idea is that we give you some additional time with your teachers during the school day to go over any last minute bits of information that they feel would be important to support you. So in terms of the preparation for the exam, it's really important that you take time to do this. So how do you prepare for the exam? Well, over the next couple of weeks, we're going to provide you more information on this to really try and support you to do that. We want everyone to be successful. But at this stage, I'm going to just say a few things just to help get us off the ground and get you guys starting to do the preparation you need to do. Sometimes preparing for an exam can make us feel a bit nervous. That's completely normal and natural to feel a little bit of nerves. This actually can help us to perform our best. Sometimes, though, we can feel a little bit too nervous, and this doesn't help us to perform our best. So, how do we get that right? How do we make sure that we're managing that situation? Well, here's some strategies that I'm going to share with you to help you to do this. The first one is about having a revision schedule. So, have a plan, stick to it, know what you're doing, plan your time out. We're going to talk a little bit more about that later on, and that means you can see that you are preparing in the right way for an exam. Have a goal. Sometimes goals can feel a little bit too big to achieve, and that can make it very hard to get actually started on that journey. So break a goal into smaller steps, more manageable steps, and that will help you to make the progress you need to do. This might sound crazy, but eat and sleep. We have to eat and sleep in order to stay healthy. We have to eat and sleep well in order to perform our best. So having a regular routine and eating healthy meals is going to be absolutely crucial in those two areas so that we can be at our best when it comes to performing exams. Reviewing progress is really good. So you can see how much you've done, what you've achieved. That can make you feel positive about the process. You can see the progress you're making and the improvements that you are seeing along the way. So that's a really good thing, is to build in some regular review time just to see that progress. Including time to be outdoors and time to exercise. We know how powerful this is. We know it's really important for our well-being to exercise and get outdoors, maybe even combine the two. Going for a walk, being with friends out there, getting that balance right is absolutely crucial. Connecting to people, not via social media, but in real life, I've used there. So face-to-face connections, spending time with your family and your friends is also a really good way to help you manage the exam period. And if at the end of all that you actually feel you need more help, then please speak with your form tutor or head of house, because there are other strategies we have as well that we're happy to share with people in order to support them during the preparation for the exams. A really important part of this is if we feel good about what we're doing, then we feel confident. And confidence comes from hard work. There is no two ways about this. There's not a shortcut to this. We have to work hard to feel confident. And if we feel confident, we go into the exams being able to perform at our best. So that hard work is going to lead to success. And that's what we want for every single one of us. We want hard work to lead us to a successful outcome, to perform our best in what's coming up. In terms of revision, what does revision look like? Well, what I've got here for you is a list of some key features of revision. Hopefully you are familiar with these, but if not, we will go over some of these again in the next couple of weeks. But I've also put a QR code there that will take you to a link to a document that explains each of these steps in a bit more detail for you. And these are the best ways to revise, proven scientifically to be the most effective ways to use your time to revise and prepare for an exam. So please take time to have a look at it. I'm going to talk about a few now. And as I said, we will do more work on this over the next couple of weeks to help make sure you're feeling confident. So what kind of things should we be doing? Well, here, this is talking about repetition and spacing. So once you've got your revision timetable in place, we need to build into that this idea of going back over our learning and spacing our learning out. Why is that important? Well, this curve here is the curve of forgetting. Hopefully, you've seen this before. And when we first learn something, we immediately start to forget it. So you can see here, our retention, our storage of that information starts to decline. If we do nothing, then it will continue. We will continue to forget until our recall of it drops down to quite a low level. It'll be really hard to try and remember that information. So how can we prevent this? Well, what we can do is we can review our learning here. So at the end of day one, we've forgotten all this information. We're going to review our learning, and that takes our memory of it back up to full. We will still forget, as you can see, but actually, if you notice here, it now takes us longer to forget. So our long-term memory is now working to help us remember this information. If we do nothing, if we leave that, we will continue to forget it. But the power is if we go back to here, review the learning, we can then take our memory of it up to a high level again. We will still forget, but notice again, it now takes longer. So every time we review the learning, it takes us longer to forget that learning. And you can see what's going to happen over a period of time. We will end up with these gaps getting longer and longer and longer. And that information at that point will then be stored quite firmly in our long-term memory. And that's what we're aiming to do, is for you to get this information into your long-term memory so it's always going to be there and you can use it. A good example of this that I can give to you is mobile phones. When they were first invented, you didn't have a memory inside them. It didn't store numbers for you to just press somebody's name and dial their number in the way they do now. You had to put the number in. So when the mobile phones first were about, you could remember all the numbers you needed for your friends up, for your family up. It was a really good way to do that. If you ask me now to tell you those numbers, I cannot remember them. It's a long time since I've used them. I don't use them anymore. I press somebody's name in my phone, so I'm not using those numbers. So my memory of that information is declining. If I was using it on a regular basis like I was, then all the time you review it and then you start to remember the numbers. So this is a really powerful, effective way to do this. So this might sound a little bit crazy, but in order for us to learn, we have to leave space to allow us to forget. So this space here is our forgetting time. We go back over our learning, we get it strong, we forget, which is really important, and then we go back over it. When we forget, it makes our minds work a little bit harder to remember the information, and that helps us to remember it even more strongly. So it's really important that to help us to learn, we have to forget. And the repetition, as you can see, repeating, really important again to help us store and recall that information. In terms of interleaving, so let's just explain what this phrase means. Interleaving means mixing up the activities. So mixing up activities means you might do one activity for a little bit and then you go to a different activity for a bit of time and go back to maybe another activity and then go back to the first one. Then you might do the third one again. You mix up what you're doing. And we need to do this. Breaking our learning up, interleaving our learning, mixing our learning, makes our minds work stronger and therefore our memory stores information better. Let me give you some evidence to show this. So here's a couple of bits of graphs. The mixers are the people that mix up their learning, and the blockers who just did a block of learning, just did the same thing for a long time. Now you can see when these two people perform in a practice session, the actual blockers do really well. Doing a long time learning one topic is actually quite a powerful way to learn it. But when it comes to performing in an exam, which might be in a week's time, the people who did the mixed learning do far better. The blockers have forgotten all their information. So mixed learning is a far more powerful way to get long-term information stored in our memory, and we have a better performance because of this. So what does it look like? What should you be doing when you're doing this? Well, you can see here, I've got 4 sessions. I'm breaking my revision into 4 sessions. I'm not going to just do one long session, 4 separate sessions, and each session I'm doing a different subject. So I'm forcing myself to use blocks of time to do different topics. Switching between topics makes our mind work hard. It's going to feel tough. It will feel quite difficult, but it's the best way to do it because it's forcing us to think and improve our memory of learning this. And if I was to do this in my first revision schedule, then what I might do in the second is do history first, then English, then science, and then maths. So you constantly mix it up. So in terms of a day in the week, on a Monday, you might say to yourself, I'm going to do those subjects, but I'm going to set myself 20 minutes of each one with a 5-minute recap before I learn any new material. So at the start of each session, 5 minutes, go over what you did last time, and then get into the new stuff to build up that memory, that retention of that information. And again, it talks about these schedules must have time to eat, time to exercise, time to do the things that make you you. So what would it look like in terms of kind of this process when you're doing it in revision. We can see here, here's a fact, here's some knowledge of information that this student wants to learn. So they're starting with this piece of knowledge. What they're then doing is they're expanding this knowledge so it can have more detail. So this knowledge has led them to write this information out. Then, in order to help them, they've then come up with some examples to illustrate, to show what they're talking about. So here you can see they're talking about V-sided valleys and interlocking spurs and waterfalls and gorges and how all this comes together to create the environment. Here now are some illustrations of that. This is actually called dual coding, and linking pictures and words together really helps our memories to store information. The fact this is a nice, simple, concrete example, we say it's a simple example, also helps our memories to store this information. So starting off with a bit of knowledge, expanding the knowledge, called elaboration, so add the detail to it, and then give examples to illustrate this using diagrams and pictures is a really, really powerful way to make this work. Notice as well, this student has gone on and done something additional. They've then said there are some bits in here that I'm not really sure I've got enough detail for. So these are questions they ask themselves, and what they can then do is go back to their notes and find out the answers to these questions and add the information to this. So this then becomes quite a lot of information kept in a very simple way, taking on a couple of steps to give them a really good set of revision material. Notice this is revision, this is hard work, this is sitting there going through stuff, writing stuff out, drawing information. It's not sitting and reading stuff. Sitting and reading stuff is not going to make your minds work hard enough, and therefore you will not store information. It has to be proactive. It has to be doing this kind of work behind the scenes. So in terms of revision timetable, again, in the next few weeks, we're going to share more of this information with you, and we're going to help you to look at how we construct this. This is what it looks like. This is just to illustrate how I would advise students to develop this. So you can see here, here's my week, and then I've got school allocated to the times in the week. But around this, I'm going to build in some revision schedule alongside eating, exercising, and doing all the things I need to do to stay healthy and get that balance to what I'm doing. So you can see I've got maths here when I come home from school. Then I'm going to make sure I eat, and then there's a program I really want to watch. I'm going to sit and watch TV, and then I'm breaking my revision up into nice little blocks of time, not big long sessions, just little blocks of time. These are half-hour blocks, and I'm leaving gaps in the middle. I'm leaving gaps here because this is going to be me taking a break, maybe grabbing a drink, talking to family, going out in the garden, doing a walk, and then coming back into my revision in order to keep myself healthy. Here, I'm going to go off and do some sports practice as well. So I've not got too many revision sessions here. I'm going to build this into my schedule. So I make sure I go and attend my sports practice. And you can see during the week, we've got all our revision stuff going on. Notice we're breaking it up, we're spacing it out, we're interleaving it. We're not just doing long sessions of science or English. We break these up into little blocks. Still got all the bits I'm going to do. So I'm going to watch a bit of TV, I'm going to walk the dog, I'm going to go for a run, I'm going to go to the cinema to watch a film. I'm still building in all the other things that are going to help me to stay healthy because I need to be healthy in order to perform at my best and be successful. Other bits of important information for Year 11. So the leaving date, the last exam for us this year is going to be June the 23rd. We will share more details around how that will work for you nearer the time, but that's an important date. The lessons are going to continue all the way through the exam process for you. We feel that's really important because that means we're constantly working with you and helping you and doing those last minute things that will really make a difference to you in the exams. When you come into school, please bring resources with you that you want to use as part of your revision. It might be that in some subjects you have finished your exam already, and you can use that time then to do some extra preparation, some extra revision. So please have those resources ready with you. Leavers hoodie, we'll be organising those shortly. and you get to choose your colour and your size. So that's an exciting step in our year. As part of the leaving process, we will be using Google Forms and Google Classroom to complete that, and you need to do that in order to leave by that June date. So again, more information will be shared with you. Watch out for that coming through. Check your Alpha email account and watch this space. To celebrate your time at Elsham, we have a celebration day that's going to take place on June the 24th. Again, more information will be shared with you, but we're hoping to have a buffet in school and a celebration in school. And then we're going to take students that would like to go down to Norwich, and we're going to Norwich and do some bowling. And some students, if you like, you can stay in Norwich yourselves, and sometimes people are going off to the cinema or going off to have a meal and then make their own way back home later on in the evening. But we will also bring the bus back up, and anyone who needs to come back up with us can get on the bus as well. And then another key date is the Leavers Prom. The date published at the moment is July the 2nd for that as well. Linked in with this and to support the preparation, we are having a Key Stage 4 Parents Information Evening. That's due to take place on March the 15th. But what we'll do is it's all going to be pre-recorded sessions, and we're currently working on finalising those. So as soon as they are ready, we'll make them available, and we'll let everybody know, and then you can watch those at home with family. And it's a really powerful way so everyone understands what we're working towards. And finally, just to come back to this, really important message, and hopefully you can see ways that you can be successful in your preparation for these exams. We come back to the quote from John Wooden, and I really do believe that every single one of us is capable of being successful in what we do by just working and doing our best. Something we all have that potential to do. So, good luck. If you have any questions, please come and find the appropriate member of staff. Mrs. Gilbert is always a good place to start from an exam point of view. And good luck with your preparations.